welcome back to my kitchen. Today we're making my sourdough chicken minis. That's right, they're inspired by Chick-fil-A. I have to make a quick note, this recipe is not endorsed or affiliated with Chick-fil-A in any way, shape, or form. This is my copycat recipe using sourdough buns and an oven-baked fried chicken rather than frying them. They're so easy to make. Let's go make them. My full written recipe link down in the description below. Just click that link, it'll take you over to the blog where you can print and save anytime. Now to get started, we're gonna first make our sourdough buns. I have already done this. I have them sitting to the side. I'll show you how I made them. To make our mini sourdough rolls, we're gonna add in fed sourdough starter, milk, honey, avocado oil, sea salt, and all-purpose flour. We're gonna mix that together. Knead our dough for a few minutes and add a lid. Let it ferment for 12 hours overnight. 12 hours later, you'll take the lid off, and as you see, you can deflate it by just giving it a little push and putting it out on your countertop. And then we're gonna cut it into 8 similar sized pieces, roll each one out one at a time, and then we're gonna fold it in half, and then we'll pinch the seams so it's sealed. And then you'll place the shaped rolls on a parchment lined sheet pan, just barely touching. And then you'll cover the rolls with a dry kitchen towel, let them sit for 3 to 4 hours to rise. We'll bake them at 425 degrees Fahrenheit for 25 minutes until they're golden brown, and then you'll set them on a wire rack. Now, you can make your sourdough buns from scratch as I have in our recipe card linked down in the description below. Or you can buy sourdough buns. You can make a different kind. They're kind of like a sourdough Parker House roll, just in a mini form. So if you have another roll recipe you would like to use, you can go ahead and do that. Or you can go ahead and follow all the steps and instructions on how to make my little sourdough mini rolls. They're so simple and delicious, you will love them. Now you have a few options. You can make your sourdough rolls now, and then you can bake them tomorrow and make this recipe then. Or you can make your sourdough rolls a few days ahead of time, put them in your pantry or fridge, and they'll last for a few days. And then when you're ready to make this recipe, they're all ready to go like I'm doing today, and I don't have to worry about proofing or fermenting dough, and I can just get started making the chicken. So we're gonna get started making the chicken now. You'll wanna preheat your oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. You'll also want to grab a large rimmed baking sheet pan and line it with parchment paper like I have here, and we'll just set this to the side. To get started with our chicken, we're gonna grab one large boneless, skinless chicken breast, and we're gonna cut it into 8 even pieces. So these should be good sized chunks. And then we're gonna grab 1 cup of all-purpose flour, 1 cup of buttermilk. If you don't have buttermilk, just do 1 cup of regular milk and 1 tablespoon of white distilled vinegar. And then you're gonna do 1 cup of breadcrumbs. Now I like to use my homemade sourdough breadcrumbs, but you can use any. To do this, I'll put my link down in the description below for my breadcrumb recipe. It's so simple and you can use any bread. It doesn't have to be sourdough. So now we need to season all of our dredging steps. As you can see, I have the flour, the buttermilk, and then the breadcrumbs. This is how we're going to bread them. And then I have our sheet pan with parchment paper up front. This is gonna make it very easy and kind of like an assembly line when we're breading. So first we're going to season our flour with 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt and 1/4 teaspoon of ground black pepper. And then we're gonna do the same thing for the buttermilk, 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt and 1/4 teaspoon of ground black pepper. It's so important to season all of our dredging steps. That way our chicken is very well seasoned at the end. It makes it so much better. And then for our breadcrumb mixture, it's gonna be a little bit different. We're gonna do 3/4 teaspoon of sea salt. And then we're gonna do 1/2 teaspoon of ground black pepper. We're also going to add a few other spices to our mixture. This is my copycat version of the Chick-fil-A chicken. So we're first gonna add in 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. Make sure it's salt-free, as well as 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, again, salt-free. And then we're also gonna add in 1/4 teaspoon of smoked paprika. That just adds a little bit of a taste that is unique and it's so delicious. Now we're gonna grab a spoon, or I like to use the back of my measuring spoon, and we're just gonna stir these each together. So we got our flour here with salt and pepper. We're just stirring this to make sure the spices are distributed throughout the flour. And then we're gonna go over here to our breadcrumbs, and we're gonna stir this. That way all of those spices are also distributed. And then we're gonna do the same thing for the buttermilk. You wanna make sure all of that ground black pepper is stirred about. That way it's not big clumps that are gonna attach to your chicken. You could also use a whisk if you would like. Now we're gonna start dredging our chicken. It is a very simple process. Don't let it make you feel overwhelmed or anything. It's really easy. So we're gonna put 1 piece of chicken at a time in our flour mixture. Make sure it's evenly coated. And then we're gonna pop it into our buttermilk mixture. Now you can have 2 tongs, you can use your hands, it's up to you, but I always recommend using 1 hand or 1 tong for the dry and 1 for the wet. So I'm going to toss this in the buttermilk, and then I'm gonna add it into our breadcrumb mixture. I'm gonna use my other hand. And then we're just gonna toss this around until all of the breadcrumbs are coating it. You can use your hand to kind of push the breadcrumbs into the chicken, that way they stick. And then we're just gonna pop that onto our sheet pan. Now when you're placing your chicken on the sheet pan, make sure you let them have a little bit of room, at least 1 inch in between. And then we're just gonna repeat that with all of our other pieces of chicken. This is just a easier, less oily fried chicken, and you can do this on a weeknight, you can do this on a Sunday morning, and it's not a ton of hassle. You don't have a lot of cleanup. Fried chicken is actually my favorite food ever, so this is my easier way of making it at home. Now that we have our 8 pieces of chicken breaded, we're gonna pop it in the oven for about 25 to 30 minutes at 425 degrees Fahrenheit, and then we're gonna discard all of our breading mixtures. You do not wanna use this for anything else. If you have a lot extra, you can put them in Ziploc baggies and then label them chicken dredging that's already been used. You can store it in the freezer for up to 1 month, but only use the excess for dredging more chicken. You do not wanna use this for cheese or anything else because you don't want all of the bacteria from the chicken getting on cheese or something else. So we're gonna clean this up, I'm gonna wash my hands, and I'll meet you back here when the chicken's done cooking. Now while our chicken is cooking, we are going to make our topping. On my recipe card, I say on there, if you make your buns ahead of time, you'll wait to brush them on until you reheat them. So that's what I'm doing today. Let me go show you how we make our topping. To make our topping, you want to grab a small saucepan and you'll add in 2 tablespoons of salted butter, 2 teaspoons of raw honey, and finally 2 teaspoons of milk. I'm using whole milk, but you can use any kind you would like. Now we're just gonna heat this on medium heat until the butter is melted and everything is combined. You'll want to stir it every now and then so it does not burn or scorch. When your topping is done and the butter is melted, you'll just take it off the heat and set it to the side for now. Now, if you made your rolls ahead of time, we're gonna want to warm them up during the last 2 or 3 minutes of our chicken cooking. So if you've made them ahead or you have store-bought rolls, you're gonna want to add them onto a sheet pan. And then we're just gonna pop them in the oven for about 2 to 3 minutes while that chicken finishes baking. And then that way they're warm and ready to go. Now that everything's out of the oven, it smells amazing. We're gonna top our chicken with a little bit of excess sea salt. This is just a little pinch, about 1/4 of a teaspoon altogether. Just gonna do a quick sprinkle. This just adds some extra flavor and makes them so good. And then we're gonna grab our buns and we're gonna cut them 3/4 of the way through. That way we can put the chicken inside. I've already done this to most of them, so I just have one more here. So it's just gonna look like that. Now we're gonna add our chicken pieces into our buns. So you're gonna take 1 piece and just add it in here. Just like that. Oh my gosh, these look so good. Now that we have the chicken in there, we're gonna grab our topping and we're gonna just brush this on top of all of these buns. It's okay if it gets down onto the chicken just a little bit. And that's how you make my sourdough chicken minis. They are so simple, they're so delicious. You get that restaurant quality at home, which everybody loves that who want it. You're saving money, it tastes just as good, if not better in my opinion. It's so much better for you and you can make them anytime you want. You don't have to leave your house or sit in a drive-thru, you can just make them right here. These are perfect for Sunday brunch. This is good for lunches, suppers, a snack. If you have people coming over, they're amazing for hosting. So these are just such a great little treat you can make anytime. Let's give them a quick try. They smell amazing. These are so good. Those are good. You get the savoriness from the chicken, the crunch from the chicken, just like you would with regular fried chicken. The bun is so soft and fluffy, and then that honey butter on top just tops it all. These are amazing. Thanks so much for joining me today in my kitchen. I hope this recipe finds a special place on your table. Again, the recipe is linked down in the description below. And until next time, go serve God by loving your family one recipe at a time.